Hey there and welcome back to Rimworld. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of Rimworld Odyssey with the spacefaring Stars of Som. I think we are slowly but steadily approaching the end of the series. Last time we left off after investigating an infested settlement on the ice sheet, where we found comparatively little resistance from the local bugs, but some good loot instead, before we then embarked towards a crashed mechanoid platform in search of yet another gravcore. We fought our way through room after room of dangerous mechs until we finally came across an ancient grav engine to obtain the valuable artifact. Today we start things off with a creativity inspiration for Zero, who is one of our more capable crafters, so I think we'll have her start working on a charge rifle soon. Apart from that, we keep chopping wood for more chem fuel. Our next few trips will take us into orbit, and I would prefer if we don't need to refuel in between. We also have more steel coming in. For now, we still have plenty of components on board, but we might need to make a few more ourselves, so a few hundred units more can't hurt. On the next morning, then, a small animal taming spree begins. One of the early goals of this series was what we called Brian's Arc, essentially capturing 2 of each animal in the game, and there are a few species on the map that we haven't tamed yet, rats and turkeys, for example. So, let's give out a few names, shall we? The rat here will now be named Binz, after the Patreon supporter of the same name, while the turkey will from now on go by Krejil, also after a Patreon supporter. And Brian and Reno are far from done yet. Up next, we've got a hare and a second rat. The hare will be named Moribund, the rat will go by Zeke. And we've also got a second turkey coming in a few seconds later. The name for this one will be Wilston. Then we quickly jump into our hospital, where Nelgraf is now undergoing a procedure to install not 1 but 2 Archotech legs. Yes, a rather pricey upgrade, but we've got 3 of them lying around from various expeditions, and he's got bad scars on both of his legs, so to me it makes the most sense to give them to him instead of just storing them indefinitely. Just in that moment, Reno successfully tames an alpaca. We named this one Flame after channel member Flame EL, and Flame's male companion is tamed just a few seconds afterwards. He will get the name Freddy, also from a channel member. Thank you all so much for your support, by the way. The fact that we even have so many names to give out speaks volumes to your generosity, and it is very much appreciated. Also appreciated is Zero using her creativity inspiration to make us a legendary charge rifle, this one bearing the image of Brent working on a suit of recon armor. I'm sure we'll put it into good hands and then jump ahead a few hours. In the middle of the night, the very pregnant Deborah goes into labor. So we'll have her husband Nick carry her into the hospital and then start the childbirth procedure, with young Furion as the doctor and Nick of course joining in too to increase the chances of a healthy child. Now all of this will take a while. In the meantime, another Scyther finishes gestating, and Brent can free Professor Fox from his machine home, now joining Tagnak and Dexter as our melee mechanoids. As noon approaches then, it is finally done. Deborah gives birth to a healthy baby boy. And we're going to name him after another Patreon supporter, Simon, after Simon Douglas. Please let me know, by the way, how you would like to see Simon to grow up. Do you think the Stars of Som would use growth vats to accelerate his growth, or should they go for the more natural approach? Now, joining Simon in our colony next is a female squirrel named Shakul after the channel member of the same name, and she gets a mate just a short while later named Mortis. All that taming success then perhaps goes to Reno's head a little bit as he attempts to recruit a rhino as a mate for Ulfgar. However, the animal is not too pleased with the attempt, and unfortunately we are left with no other choice but to put it down. In the evening then, we experience a rare raid. We've seen mostly mech clusters for much of this playthrough, so 48 pirates, all equipped with sniper rifles, that is a change of pace. although not really one I'm happy about. I don't think we need to take any chances with these. A well-placed Doomsday might just defeat them, but their range is so high, any approach would be extremely risky. So instead, let's call in a Diabolus just to perhaps distract them a little, and then we quickly force harvest our rice field, a little earlier than I wanted, but at least we're getting something out of it. Our animals are also being brought back on board just as the mechanoids drop in, not too far from the pirates, but for now a fight does not break out immediately. Eventually then the robots start moving, sadly not quite in the direction of our enemies. Luckily the last rice plant is harvested in time and we are pretty much ready for an emergency liftoff. So let's initiate the launch procedure. As you can see, the pirates have begun attacking the mechanoids' backline, but if we stay here they are likely going to decimate them in seconds, and we really don't need to deal with the leftovers. So instead, let's fly far, far away to space. We've got an orbital item stash here that looks very promising. So, with our thrusters breaking down, we arrive at the asteroid promising riches. Except for the solar panels, we have our entire ship safely roofed over already, and therefore protected from the vacuum. Nonetheless, we construct a few more oxygen pumps now, just in case, before we equip a small party with suitable armor to venture out of the Hiza. For now, Saber, Kyler, and Hive Queen Blubber explore the rather small complex inside the asteroid. A survival meal pallet is their first find, then Kyler hacks a security door to gain access to the rest of the building. The first few rooms don't house anything too exciting, until we crack open a storage chamber with plenty of valuables. Mostly serums, those added by the anomaly expansion, and also another unique weapon variant, a revolver with the high power rounds trait, increasing damage by 30% and armor penetration by 15%, albeit at the cost of slightly reduced accuracy. Generally, this is a very good trait to find on any weapon. However, a revolver is perhaps not quite what we are looking for at this stage in the game. Now, Saber swiftly disarms the hunter trap here before we then open the next door, but nothing of value is found, except for the medicine in the container in front of it. All remaining doors need to be hacked to gain access. The one to the south here only offers a path to yet another locked one. The chamber in the middle, meanwhile, contains a hermetic crate, and inside a map that we want to study. Perhaps it reveals another location of interest. The final security door then only reveals an ancient drop pod, nothing that concerns us, and with that, this small orbital item stash is already fully explored. At this point, we can basically just wait until the Hiza is ready for liftoff again, and while we do, we then finally receive the quest I was teasing last episode. Having found 7 gravcores, the game now reveals the location of the Mech Hive. This is the center of all mechanoid activity on the planet, and shutting it down could permanently disable all mechanoids for the rest of the game, but it is not the only option we have. No matter what we eventually decide to do, to even be able to approach the Mech Hive, we need to build a signal jammer, a device that requires another gravcore to be constructed. Good thing we've saved the one we obtained last episode for exactly this purpose. With both Cat and Furion already aged up and Simon still far removed from a teachable age, we can repurpose our classroom for this, and with Constructor Alex on the task, it doesn't take long until the signal jammer is up and running. Just in that moment, we are then informed of rather grim birthday news. Steve has reached the ripe old age of 77, and as a reward, Randy gifts him a carcinoma in his leg. For now, we get this treated, but eventually we might need something more drastic. In the meantime, though, Reno reads the map we just found and discovers an ancient complex. To be honest, though, not quite sure if we're going to visit that one. In the past, these locations haven't exactly been fruitful. Either way, with Steve's productivity further reduced, we might as well send him into the subcore soft scanner now. In exchange, Randy sends us a beautiful aurora, and a few hours later, he, Steve that is, not Randy, gets a bionic leg, freshly handmade by master craftsman Brent. Fabian also experiences a surgery inspiration that we might let go to waste. In any case, the Heezer is ready for liftoff again, but we are not. Instead, we spent the next few hours making 5 new advanced components. This takes us pretty much the entire night, but on the next morning, Alex can construct a second grav anchor so that we can safely return to this asteroid if we please. The fact that this place is already partially hollowed out could make it a suitable spot to build that long-promised orbital zoo, and if we no longer need to fear any mechanoid attacks, that would be even better. For now though, our animals stay on board of the ship as we steer towards our next destination. There's a mechanoid hub nearby here that could perhaps be a suitable test run for the eventual attack on the Mech Hive itself. So we land, and once again the procedure is not without consequences. Our crew and animals suffer from grav nausea, so it might be smart to wait a little while until we go into combat. What we can also do now that we have docked is accept the Imperial Pollution Drop quest here in exchange for the 2 helmets. I'm actually not quite sure where the drop will take place, as we have left the map that we received the quest on, but we learn it eventually, and it's not the location I had hoped for. It is this space station we secured with a grav anchor a few episodes ago, so we'll have to send someone over there to collect the loot, I guess. For now though, we gear up, and with the front door already hacked, we explore the mechanoid facility. For the first few moments it's just corridors and empty rooms, which is great. The longer we can drag out the inevitable fight, the better. That way we can get a clearer picture of the building layout, including potential escape routes. Nelgrav and Fabian take a quick moment here to hack 2 security doors, and Nelgrav finds a crate behind his. Inside, 2 Archean seeds. I had actually hoped we find some of these before the series finale, because Archean trees are a unique species added in the Odyssey expansion, capable of growing on almost any surface, even rock and stone, and in any environment, even in a vacuum. They can be roofed over and do not require light to grow, convert nearby tiles to fertile soil, and also produce oxygen, just like an oxygen pump would. In short, for our space zoo plans, they are perfect, and I'm very happy that we found these 2 seeds here. But we are not in the clear yet. The next room here then does contain some mechanoids, although they are all dormant, and so if we quickly shut the door again, they won't harm us. Behind another security door and inside another hermetic crate, Nelgrav also finds some hyperweave, but not enough to craft anything truly useful, so we'll keep searching. More mechanoids then at the east of the facility, but once again, Alex swiftly closes the door behind her. As long as there are no further crates or other valuables in these mech-filled chambers, I see no reason to disturb them. Unfortunately, that plan comes to an end as we open the door to the next room right here, which includes a turret that is always watching, and as it fires its first shot at Alex, the surrounding mechs spring into action. I think it might be wise to retreat a bit before we fight. The small corridor at the facility's south side here could be useful for us, to make it difficult for the enemy mechanoids to fire through if we block the entrance. Considering that we've got several Scorchers and a Tesserun to deal with, a narrow passage like this offers a bit of protection just by being tricky to shoot into beyond the first 1 or 2 tiles. Certainly not ideal, but if we were to run all the way back out, chances are the mechs will simply lose interest. As you can see, eventually the group is taken down, and apart from Hive Queen Blubber and Nelgrav, no one takes any damage. So let us continue then towards the building's northwestern side, which unfortunately reveals itself to be occupied by mechanoids as well, so there won't be any way to get through here without a fight. At least not from the inside, which means for now we can already send our party back onto the ship and wait until we have cracked open a few more entry points. And just to address it real quick, yes, our sizable number of animals is also getting quite hungry. We've got enough rice and meat stockpiled for a few hundred units of kibble though, so I think we should be fine. This is mostly a result of our trip to space starting a little earlier than planned. A few hours later then, we've got a cargo pod drop back on the asteroid we just left. Somewhat fittingly, it's 200 units of baby food, so for Simon's sake, we might need to make a quick stop here soon. For now though, let us see about alternative paths into the mech complex. Kyla and Fabian crack open a few more doors here, and while they do not find any sleeping mechs behind them, they unfortunately also do not find any extra valuables. Eventually, Nelgraf opens a door on the station's east side, and the room beyond contains a few more robots, and I think we can take them on to clear the path into the northeastern area. So in the evening, Nelgraf sneaks in again and fires his shotgun, and then hastily runs back out. His two Archotech legs make sure that not even the Scyther here can catch him. And he uses that newfound speed to his advantage to take out more or less the entire group. Eventually, only a single Lancer is left, and well, we've got a small welcome committee already waiting for it. After taking out a lone pikeman back inside the room and suffering a minor injury in the process, Nelgraf can then see what's hiding in the facility's northeastern wing, and disappointingly it's just more mechanoids, nothing of value. And so we now have the entire station fully explored and know of 4 more sealed crates under heavy mechanoid protection, and I think, since the Archean seeds were already such a great find, we don't need to risk any further complications here. Let's leave it at that and fly to our next destination. Before we do though, we also want to power up our shield generator, because where we're going to next, hostilities might not be quite so easily avoided. As soon as we get the signal then, we start the launch procedure, and our next target is yet another orbital location, this space dock here, rumored to already be crawling with scavengers. And indeed, as we touch down, a sizable group of 24 is already active within the ruins of this station, and they surely won't take kindly to our presence. So let's fire up those turrets and put up some extra barricades to hide behind. The onslaught is about to begin. However, to get us started, we'll meet the enemy on open ground. Hopefully we can pick up a few overly eager scavengers. In terms of weapons and armor, we definitely outclass them. With the first 2 casualties dealt, we then retreat towards the safety of our turrets and can now watch the carnage unfold. These are truly my favorite moments in Rimworld, these long brutal onslaughts in which the enemy stands barely any chance. I was fully prepared to send the Scythers in here just in case anyone got too close to our turrets, but as you can see, we are holding the line just fine without them. The shield generator then also springs into action and blocks all remaining projectiles, but only those coming in, not those going out. Eventually, we can safely leave our post and clean up the 2 remaining stragglers taking shots at us from the left flank here, once again though pointlessly so, as the shield blocks everything for now. And with that, the space dock is ours. And well, there's actually a decent bit of loot to be found here. Several smaller and larger containers full of steel components and even advanced components are scattered all over the place. The main difficulty will be hauling all of the good stuff back on board of the Heezer, as this station here is quite a bit larger than any other we have visited before. In addition, there are also a few survival meal pallets and sealed crates, but the loot inside those is nothing worth mentioning. And so we spent the night resting up and carrying materials back to the ship, which, lacking any suitable alternatives, I unfortunately had to park in the station's lower right corner, not exactly a great location to minimize travel distance. Now, with all of those materials incoming, we also construct 6 new solar panels. You may have spotted them at the rear of the geyser. Those will come with us when we leave in a moment to become the eventual foundation of a hydroponics setup on the asteroid we just visited. 6 panels will produce exactly the amount of power we need to run 2 sun lamps, 4 heaters and 48 hydroponics basins, and to me that sounds like a good start to feed all of those animals we have. Before we can lift off, we also have Scyther number 4 join us, using the subcore we gained from Steve, and we'll name it Cosmic Otter after the channel supporter of the same name. Then, to cut a long story short, the rest of our stay on this space dock is mainly spent just collecting valuables. We don't really have anything exciting to report until we are once again informed that it is time to lift off. So let us pack up those solar panels and initiate the launch procedure. Our next destination will be slightly more hospitable. I have found a small patch of lava fields not too far away from here that actually has obsidian deposits that might be worth checking out. And here we are, with outside temperatures once again well above the freezing point, plenty of plants for our animals to feed on, and a few veins of the valuable obsidian to mine out, we can now begin preparations for what might very well be the geyser's biggest and most important journey yet. Feel free to let me know in the comments whether or not we should get that space zoo up and running first or attack the Mech Hive. At the moment, I think building a space zoo will be much easier with the mechs defeated, but if you would prefer to see things approached in a different order, then please let me know. In any case, for today I think we have reached a good point to make the cut. As always, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course also go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or become a channel member or Patreon supporter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.